What's up, everybody? Welcome in to the Wiregrass High School Football Report, brought to you by Digio Strategies. This is your weekly look at all things high school football and the Wiregrass. I am your host, Phillip Jordan, the in-studio host and producer for Dothan Wolves Football on 96.9 The Legend. That's right. Did a little teaser a couple weeks ago. The show is back in full force. We're getting you ramped up for the high school football season. People saying, Phillip, it's June, but the season is getting closer and closer. June feels like a long ways away from the football season, but it really isn't. So we are getting it started up here today on June 12th, and I'm going to be joined, fantastic conversation, with the brand new head coach of the new Brockton Gamecocks, Jason Barnett. We will talk about just the last 6 months since he was hired back in December. What has he seen through the spring? What stood out to him about his team? What kind of offense? What can we expect from a Jason Barnett coach football team? And we'll get into him, why New Brockton, why he felt like that was the proper destination for him. We'll talk about a little bit of his college playing days as well, and ask him those two questions I like asking coaches here on the show. We'll ask him, what does he think when he hears the term Friday Night Football, and what does he enjoy doing when he's away from the game of football? And we had a great conversation. It goes almost 40 minutes. I really think you're going to enjoy that conversation. But before we jump in all of that, also let you guys know you can find me and the podcast. You can find me on social media at PJordanSEC. Podcast is available on Apple Podcast, and we are now on Spotify. That's right. So if you like using Spotify for your podcast, go check it out. And also move over to a new platform on Podbean. You can also check it out over there. I'll be posting a show over on my YouTube channel, Phillip Jordan Media YouTube channel. Just hit the subscribe button, hit the bell for all notifications, and leave a comment on a video. I'll read it on a future edition as well. And remember, on Apple Podcasts, follow, rate, and review. Leave a review. I will also read that on a future edition as well. You can always email me at sports.philipjordan@gmail.com. Now, let's chat with the brand new head coach for the New Brockton Gamecocks, head coach Jason Barnett. All right, everybody, joining me, my first coach interview of the 2023 season. We're starting this thing up in June, as I said in the opening, but I am joined by the New Brockton head coach, Jason Barnett. And Coach Barnett, I appreciate you taking the time. We're doing this on a Sunday to talk about you, talk about your team, New Brockton Gamecocks. Appreciate the time.
Well, thank y'all for having me. I appreciate it, and it's a good day to be a Gamecock.
There you go. And so we're getting closer. Everybody says, "Man, it's June." I said, "Football season's around the corner." Especially for you guys. I mean, it's summer workouts and then getting into August. It's a lot closer for the coaches and the players than it is the people than the fans. But I know it's getting here closer.
I don't know that it ever stopped anymore. And I think back to 30 years ago when we were in high school and things like that. We didn't win a couple of days during the summer, but what I have tried to do here at New Brockton, which is a different situation than what I've been in the past, is, when you're in a smaller school, you have to share athletes. And so with us, it never ends. Those guys that are football only guys, and we don't have but a few of those. We try. I have pushed our guys since I've gotten here to do everything. We really need that. And but to answer your question, yeah, football is right on top of us. And like you said, it never really ends for us because we're in the weight room at least every day. At the very, very least. And then after that, it's, then comes spring training, then comes, the summer workouts and things like that. And with what they're able to let us do nowadays, with the summer workouts, we're able to put a helmet on during the summer and we're able to get out there and we're able to, you're not really able to walk, not walk through, but you're able to do stuff that you normally didn't get to do back in the old days. And like I was saying about us when we were in high school ourselves. But, that's one thing I applaud the High School Athletic Association for doing. And now, we're able to do OTAs. We're able to go and do things with other schools, other programs during the summer, whether that's 7-on-7 or doing OTA or whatever it is. So we've got a few of those scheduled for the summer. So, yeah, it's on top of us. It is time to start thinking about football.
Well, if you follow me on Facebook, Coach, I'm always thinking about football. I'm a watcher of the USFL and XFL and all that stuff, and the spring games and college and all that stuff. So
that helped too. Yeah, that has helped too. Having the spring stuff with the XFL and USFL, and even the Canadian League stuff during the summer, and that kind of thing. Man, it makes the time go a lot faster nowadays with that. So football's always on our minds.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So the last 6 months, you got hired back in December. Just sum up, what's the last 6 months been like for you, just getting everything started with New Brockton?
I wish I could remember them. It has been such a whirlwind, and that's crazy to sound, but I had to finish up. My wife is also a teacher as well, so she had to finish up her entire contract at Citronelle High School, and so she just got here like a week ago. She finally moved to Enterprise with me, or outside Enterprise with me, and so it's I came on over at the end of March. I came the week after New Brockton spring break was over. I started that Monday. I didn't get a spring break this year. That's one of those funny things because I didn't start here till after their spring break was over. Mobile County spring break didn't start till after I was already over here. So I didn't get to have a spring break, but that's okay. And, I had to finish out, for a large portion of my contract at Citronelle High School, Mobile County. But finally got over here 1st of April, and last week of March, 1st of April, and we hit the ground running. We had to, it's been I was hoping that our weight room and so forth, that's where we're so far behind. We are so far behind in the weight room, but we've got a long way to go. But the kids have bought in. They have absolutely killed themselves since day one. And I'm excited about what the future holds there. And, we've got to play a long catch-up game.
Oh, and, going through the spring, and you guys, had to practice this, had a spring game. What did you learn most about the team?
Yeah, and that was the thing, too. And that's the other part of it. Anytime you come off an 0-10 season, we've got to get kids out. I have beaten the hallways. I think every kid at New Brockton High School, male or female for that matter, I have spoken to, trying to get them to be a part of this program one way or another, whether that's as a player, as a cheerleader, as a band member, as a something, to make Friday nights more enjoyable. So I have done everything in the world trying to, and I've still got a long way to go there. I'm going to continue every day trying to push kids to come play, whether, or do something as far as Friday nights are concerned. So it's just an overall experience. But we learned a lot about our guys. We only had 7 days. It was a weird situation because when we started spring, I felt obligated to those kids that I had coached with in the past to attend their graduation at Citronelle. So there was one day I couldn't do spring. Then the following Monday and Tuesday, I was on Friday. Then the following Monday and Tuesday, I had to attend my daughter's 6th grade graduation at Excel High School. And then I had to attend my son's graduation from high school at Excel High School on Tuesday. So there were 3 days in there. I didn't get to do anything with New Brockton, and they totally understood, and the kids understood. But we did 7 days in the spring, and we finished up with a little squad thing on Friday evening, and the turnout from the community was unbelievable. I can't remember exactly what the numbers said, but it was about 500, 600 people there that night, maybe even closer to 700 people there that night just to watch us go through a little spring scrimmage, So, what I learned about the team itself is that we've got a little more talent than I initially thought when I first got here, just looking at the guys. But again, I didn't get to see them all because there were a few that were playing another sport and that kind of thing. So I never really got to see them in the weight room quite like I would have, any other time. But once we finally got the pads on and lined up and so forth, you could see that there's some talent here. And I'm excited about it. The kids, we were very basic in what we were doing because we only had 7 days. but we did everything we could. We got in our base stuff, and that was the most important. So.
And and I remember, and I was looking through some of my notes from last year when I was looking ahead of last year's New Brockton team. I know going into last year they had a lot of seniors. That was a lot of their guys had coming back. What do they look like? I know, like I said, we're talking to June, and you're out there trying to get more players on the team as well, get more people involved. But what is that looking like when you come to upperclassmen and all that?
Yeah, we're going to have I think there's 10 or 12 seniors that'll be on the squad this year. There's probably that many juniors as well, maybe a few more. And after that, we've got a huge sophomore and freshman classes. We've got 80-something kids that are dressed out, in the spring, and they're going through summer workouts with us now. And that is almost twice the size of what they started with the fall last year. So it's been exciting as far as that's concerned. We've got a long way to go. Again, the kids we've got to sell them on a vision for this program. And it's something that, once they sit down with me and we talk about it, we usually come to an agreement somehow, some way. And it's the thing again, this during the June month of June, basketball and baseball, they take precedence because the HSAA allows them to compete or have competitions during the month of June for that. So I've got kids that missed two out of the 3 days last week that we worked out and did summer stuff. They were off playing basketball. And I'm 100% okay with that because that's one of those things that has to happen at a school our size. So, I see that, like I said, the class sizes were still disproportionate from a senior and junior class, but we make up for it with 9th and 10th graders. And so, or what will be 9th and 10th graders. So, we've got a long way to go. In the program, we've got a long way to go to build it back. But I think that if we just stay patient with it and people just look at what there is out there, they'll realize that, it's coming. We just have to stick with it.
And two, with your team, and I'm sure you've been asked this by other media outlets in the Wiregrass, but if someone comes out when the fall gets here, when the season starts, what kind of a team, what kind of offense can they expect out of New Brockton?
Yeah, we're going to line up and try to run the football. As a defensive coordinator, which is what I've been for 99% of my career, has been on the defensive side of the ball. The hardest thing in the world to do is or the easiest thing, whatever you want to look at it from an offensive standpoint, the hardest thing in the world to do is to stop someone that can run the football. I think Woody Hayes, the old Ohio State coach, said it best 100 years ago when he said that when you throw the football, 3 things happen and 2 of them are bad. So for some reason, you got an interception or an incomplete pass. If you throw the football, you got a 33% chance of being right. Well, in high school football, that probably reduces to about 10% because the hardest thing in the world for some reason in high school is to complete the forward pass. You got to have a good snap. You got to be able to throw a good throw, and then you got to trust that kid on the other end to catch it. And that don't always line up right in high school. So if you can just hand off to somebody, that's the easiest thing in the world, to just hand the ball to somebody. At that point, hopefully your blocking's good and your running back's pretty good, and you got a chance then. So we're going to run the football, and we're going to try to control the clock. We're going to shorten games down, and, hopefully we'll give ourselves a fighting chance in the fourth quarter to stay with some of these guys. And, at that point, if you give yourself a chance, you never know what may happen. Defensively, we're going to base out of an even front. At that point, we're very multiple defensively. We're going to line up, and we can line up in a 3-man front. We can line up in a 4-man front. We can line up with 5 linebackers. We can line up with 6 linebackers. We can line up with 6 DBs. We can line up with 5 DBs. It just depends on the situation and who we're playing and that kind of thing. So we'll be able to hopefully, give ourselves a chance every Friday night, just from a personnel standpoint and from a schematic standpoint.
All right, and now I'm going to ask you a very talk show radio host style of question, but it feels like whenever you talk football, you got to ask the question.
Okay.
How's quarterback? How's quarterback looking for you guys?
Well, we've got 2 or 3 right now that we've gotten 2 that went through the spring with us. Dawson Peacock and Hunter White. Hunter will be a senior. Dawson will be a 10th grader. Dawson is probably a little more athletic than Hunter. Hunter's just a bigger, older kid. You know what I mean? And they both are going to have their opportunities to play. And so we feel like that we could be successful with either one of those guys. And whoever is calling the first signal on, the first snap on Friday night, maybe it's not the same guy that's going to call it the last snap on Friday night, So, but either one of those guys can play other positions as well. So it's a situation where, we're going to play them at quarterback. We're going to play them at wide receiver. We're going to play them at DB. We're going to play them at linebacker. We're going to play them at different places at the same time. So, and then we've gotten a transfer coming in that he's going to have an opportunity as well. Once he gets in here and he starts, getting to work with us and so forth, we want to see what he brings to the table, So we're always trying to do the best we can with what we got. So, yeah, the quarterback, everything always revolves around the quarterback. And, it's always funny. I'm like, man, why don't somebody ever ask me who the starting safeties are going to be? But but they always want to know who the starting quarterback is.
Yeah, just, you got to have one of those football conversations, talk to coaches. Always, everybody wants to know what's going on with the quarterback. It's just one of those things that comes with it.
Absolutely.
Also,
and that's okay.
Let's go back a little bit. So, December, you took the job. What was it about New Brockton that said, that led you to say, this is where I need to be. This is the opportunity. What was it about New Brockton that led you that direction?
Well, here's the thing. Okay, so I was the head football coach at Citronelle, which when I took the job, we were 5A, and I was the defense coordinator there for 3 years previous to being the head coach. We were 5A. We were 6A when I first got to Citronelle as a coordinator, and then we dropped back to 5A. And we stayed 5A for 4 years. Well, 2 of those 4, I was the head football coach. And then we went up to 6A, and then we went back down to 5A. And I had made up my mind, by the middle of the end of the season, you just kind of always wanted to, as a coach, you always, the bigger, the better, if that makes sense. And, and I had that wanderlust, if you will. Well, I was in that situation and realized that all that glitters is not gold. And so, to take a word from Dan Seals, but, I just, I started thinking about, you're going to have the same type of problems, no matter where you are, no matter what the situation is, you're going to have the same type of problems. So, is it easier to have less of them, or is it, whatever the situation is? So anyway, got to thinking back when I was, still at Baldwin County High School as an assistant coach, I actually applied for and interviewed for the New Brockton job. And so came over and, ultimately I didn't get the job. But it's always been one of those places that was in the back of my mind, And so when I saw the job was posted for it, that it was available, I immediately applied for it and talked with Mr. Barkley, our principal, and he sat and came and invited me to come over and have an interview with him, and then brought me back another day, and we sat down with more people this time, and it was a little more less formal situation day 2 than day 1 was, but I had a great interview with both of them, and on my way home from here that second time, he called and offered me the job, and I think it was about 30 seconds into that conversation when I, agreed to take it, but it didn't take me long. But it was just one of those places that it's always been one of those things where you saw it and you knew that it had the possibilities. It was successful before. Can it be successful again? And it's a challenge in that, again, going from which, New Brockton has traditionally been a 2A school for all those years. And then all of a sudden you jump to 3A and, and it's a struggle. It is a struggle. And then you look at the opportunity now where we're fixing to be a 4A school more than likely in a year or two, when they redo the classifications for next year. So it's one of those things where it was an opportunity for me to do what I enjoy doing, which is building the program. I loved, getting my feet wet and those type of things and at least giving yourself a fighting chance. And so New Brockton was just one of those places when I came over back, 10 years ago and looked around and so forth. It was completely different than it was the time I came back, when I came back in late November, early December. And so, the new baseball facility, the new softball facility, the way that they had done the park around, the concession area and the bathroom area and so forth, the entrance to the football field, they built the new stands on the, to swap sides with the home side and all that stuff. And it was just completely different. And I told my wife when we came over the first time, and I said, this is where I'm supposed to be. This is exactly where I'm supposed to be. And it just happened to work out for us. So I'm excited about that fact. And I look forward to, spending many years here at New Brockton, and hopefully we'll be successful while we're doing it.
Yeah, I can feel the excitement and energy you have about that. So I really think New Brockton, they got a really great guy to be their head coach. Now, I told you when we set this up, it'd be 15. I've gone a few minutes over 15. I hope it's okay.
I'm okay with that. Anytime. I'll sit and talk ball with you all day long and talk about our program all day long. You're not bothering me at all today now.
Okay, because I got like 2 to 3 more questions for you, so I was making sure that was okay.
Fine.
So I was looking and I was just reading
fine.
articles when you got hired there and all that stuff. So I know you graduated from Escambia County in 92,
Yes.
2 years baseball at Alabama Southern, and then you were a walk-on 2 years at Auburn. What
That's
was
correct.
that experience at Auburn like? I'm thinking back, Terry Bowden was the coach, but then you go
That's correct.
from a receiver on a college football team to defensive coordinator in high school. So just kind of like how all that went down.
Everybody always wonders how that happened, and I was completely. I played a little both in high school, and mostly wide receiver, but I did play a little DB and so forth. But it turned into, and I've said this a long time, and not to say that I am, but your best offensive guys were once defensive guys. Your best defensive guys were once offensive guys, because we kind of have an understanding of what works well against us. You know what I mean? We don't want to see what that is, because we know we can't do anything about when they're in that. You know what I'm saying? Those type of things. So it just kind of worked out. I was, like I said, I went to play baseball, enjoyed it. I wouldn't trade it for my time in college for baseball for anything in this world. But when I finished up baseball, I missed the game of football. And so I said, heck, let's see if we can still do this. And if somebody was willing to give me an opportunity to continue to try it. And Coach Witt at Auburn at the time, which Coach Witt is still there inside of Tigers Unlimited and so forth. And everybody in the world knows Joe Witt was there for, he's been there for going on 40 years now. But Coach Witt, I called Coach Witt and said, Coach, I would love to have an opportunity, if it's one available, to come to Auburn and try to play football again, which they wanted me to 2 years earlier. But you never know, the door's closed or whatever, so forth. But he absolutely opened his arms. He said, Jason, get here in a heartbeat. So I actually left Monroeville one Friday afternoon, and with my transcripts on a handwritten piece of paper. I'll never forget it. A handwritten piece of paper from our counselors and the president / chief financial officer, whoever it was, whatever Dr. Chandler was at the time. He kind of wore every hat at Alabama Southern back then. But anyway, he signed off on it and like stamped it or something. This is as official as it could be, because I had to get in really quick. And so I took off and left Monroeville that day and drove to Auburn with my handwritten transcript. You couldn't do that today, 2023. A little bit different than 1994, obviously. But anyway, I showed up and started workouts. That following, I was enrolled. the following day, or that afternoon, I got enrolled, and started workouts the following Monday. I had no lap time. So anyway, it was fun. I enjoyed it. You asked what was my memory of that. It was, or what my thoughts were of Auburn at the time and how that was. It was painful. I wound up having 3 knee surgeries while I was at Auburn, and it derailed a lot, which my athletic ability probably had more to do with that than anything. But no, it was fun. I enjoyed it. Met a lot of great people that I'm still friends with today. Some of these guys from the Wiregrass, Mike Pelton was a player at the time at Auburn, and Mike and I have continued a relationship as he went into coaching at Auburn and Georgia Tech and Troy and places like that he had been. So, it was great. I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world back in those days.
Yeah, so you were coming in after the undefeated season, then they had...
Yes, I came in. That's correct. I came in, and it was always funny because I had an opportunity to do, coming out of high school, I could have either walked on at Auburn or Alabama. And Coach McCorvey, who was the wide receivers coach, Woody McCorvey was the wide receivers coach at Alabama at the time, and so forth, and he wanted me to come to Alabama as well. And so I couldn't have gone wrong in either situation. I just grew up in an Auburn family, and that was my connection there. So I just couldn't help myself, when it was all said and done. But either way, I could have gone to Alabama my freshman year. We would have won a national championship at Alabama the next year. Auburn goes undefeated, and unfortunately for the NCAA sanctions at Auburn at the time, they didn't get a chance to, to play in a bowl game and continue that. And then we go 9-1-1 the following year. So it was a 20-game win streak, and it was a great time to be an Auburn Tiger. I have to tell you that.
And I always just weird when I hear those old records. It was with high school too, which we see it in NFL when you see that one with a tie. It's just, everybody knows.
I know, right? That Georgia game still is a honer because it was kind of one of those things where after that happened, like it was almost like the bubble burst, and we go to Legion Field still Legion Field at that time. We went to Legion Field the next week and played Alabama and got beat. And so you kind of felt that, knew it then when the Georgia tie happened. What happens now, But anyway, it was fun, man. It was great.
So the close thing, I told you before I hit the record button, I had 2 questions I'd like to ask Coach, especially first time they've come on the show. And the first part of the question, just when you hear the phrase, or whatever you want to call it, Friday Night Football, what comes to mind to you?
The atmosphere and the popping of the paper. It's one of those things, and the popping of the paper is when the team runs out of the tunnel, the paper, whatever, the cheerleaders are holding up the banner, whatever it is. That moment when the kids pop the paper and, there's nothing like it, whether you're from a player standpoint. And I've said this a lot over the years that, old players, we get addicted to that adrenaline rush. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And once our time of playing is over, you do everything in the world to try to feel that way again. And that doesn't always happen. You go to work every day and, you can go sit in the stands and you can go enjoy it, but there's nothing like that. That feeling still doesn't exist. As a coach, you get just as close to it as you possibly can without it actually being you popping the paper, if that makes sense. So that's, to me, that is the overall Friday night experience is when those lights pop on, the kids pop that paper, and the band strikes up the alma mater, the fight song, whatever, the fight song, I guess most of the time, when the band pops on the fight song and the cheerleaders running out and the crowd's going crazy on both sides, there's nothing better than that.
Yeah, I agree. Just, when I have it, I don't get to go as many as I used to because I'm a producer for the Dothan Wolves game. So I'm in the radio studio for most. But when I do get a chance to go to one, it's even sitting in the stands. It's just there's something different about high school football versus the other forms of football.
And the thing is that color on the helmet, that color on the uniform, that name across the uniform, or that sticker on the side of the helmet. you're playing for that. Most of these kids grew up and wanting to wear that helmet, wanting to wear that uniform, be a new Brockton Gamecock, or whoever it is, in a Escambia County Blue Devil. Growing up, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a Blue Devil when I grew up, and so it was that's just the thought that is always there, that you're playing for something more than just yourself, and even those guys beside you. You're playing for something more, and I hate to say it, the college game was very similar up until about a year or two ago when this NIL stuff copped on. And I'm not going to get into all that, but, you're going to start seeing that with the transfer portal and NIL, that the college game is going to become more of a pro game than the high school game. We used to have a lot more similarities between college and high school than college and pros did. Now you're going to see more of the college game heading toward the pro side of things and less of the high school. So high school is going to be the last beacon of hope, if you will, for hometown pride. Playing for more than a paycheck. You're playing for that hometown pride. And so that's something that, it can't be beat when you get down to it. So.
And my last question, when you get a chance to get away from football, what are some things you enjoy doing, kind of outside of that?
Yeah, well, number one is I love to spend time with my family. I don't get to spend enough time with them, especially during football season. But I spend as much time as I can with my family, my kids, and my wife. I love them to death, and I appreciate what they give up for me to continue to do what I'm doing, because it is something that they're giving up. They're giving up their time because of my time constraints. But aside from hanging with my family, which I try to do that, and do my hobbies at the same time, and thankfully, I love hunting. I love deer hunting. I love duck hunting. I love turkey hunting. I will hunt. If you probably go inside the house and turn on one of my TVs, it's probably on some type of hunting show right now. But I can sit there and I can relax. I know what's going on there. It's not the craziness of the world that's going on. I don't need to know about what's happening in this political aspect of things, or what's going on. I can turn on a hunting show and I can relax. But that's the same way I feel when I'm in a tree stand or I'm sitting out there enjoying God's creation, because nature is the best therapy that there's ever been, and I'll go to my grave. I'll die on that hill, if you will. But I enjoy doing that kind of stuff, and I enjoy fishing. I do love fishing. I don't like it as much as I do hunting, because I can't see the animal I'm trying to catch. But most of the time when they're underwater, I can't see them. So I'm just trying to throw something out there and hopefully something catches it, or something bites it. But at least when I'm actually hunting, I can see what I'm doing. And so anyway, but no, I love to hunt and I love to fish. A lot of people, in my profession, they like to play golf and things like that. And I don't play golf. I've never been a golfer. I'll never be a golfer. I have played 5 times in my life, and all 5 times were in a golf tournament at Citronelle High School. So I'm left-handed, and I never would buy any clubs, and I didn't know anybody else that was left-handed to let me try them. And so, but sadly enough, there was one of my coaches had a set of left-handed clubs that his son had gotten rid of, and he still had them, and he made me play. So anyway, so I don't do any of that kind of stuff, but I love to, I grew up on a farm in Escambia County. My family's always had cows and things like that, so I enjoy doing that stuff, and it's the same thing kind of. I can't be at the farm every day, so I try to take a lot of pride in our facilities to school. So, mowing grass and spraying for the bugs and the weeds and things of that nature, it's, that's second nature to me. So I enjoy doing that stuff. It's not really work. It's almost a peaceful time for me. So that's my other passion, I guess you will, is riding tractors and so forth. And again, I just like my peaceful time, I guess you say.
Yeah, I think a lot of people do that, and fishing is actually a very popular response to this question. When I ask Coach that, fishing is one of the main ones. Golf is too. So I mean, you don't like golf, but you did mention it, so I will say I guess it counts. It's one that's mentioned in that question.
I know us too well. That's the problem. I know us too well, and the things that it goes back to competition still. Golf is still a competitive game, and so it gives that coach an opportunity to still try to be competitive in something. You know what I mean? And the great Tim Wilson, the comedian Tim Wilson, he always again, not knocking golf. It's the hardest thing in the world I've ever done, and that's why I don't do it. But Tim Wilson always said, if an 80-year-old man could beat me in something, it's not a sport. And I always laughed about that fact. But it's the truth, though. The older you get, it's almost like the better you get in golf. And not just because you've been playing it longer, but I think it teaches you patience. And, the older you get, the more patient you become and more mature you become. So I think that's something that it fits well for us as coaches to do.
Yeah, like I said, it's competitive. So I'm going to wait till I'm about 50. I'm going to start playing golf then. If it's supposed to get better as you get older.
That's the best idea. That's the best way to do it, man. Absolutely, because you're not quite strong enough at that point maybe to break the clubs, and you're not far enough, and you're not strong enough maybe to throw them back in the water and things like that. So you might be better off to wait till you're 50. That's a good point. Great point.
So before I'll let you go. Just and like I said, we said 15, and we've gone over 30. But it's been a fantastic conversation with you.
I hope I don't mess y'all up. I'm good. I'm a talker now. I will talk about our program any day of the week. Absolutely.
This is no knock on radio because I do that and I enjoy radio too. But with podcasts, we can kind of go as long as you want.
Right.
So there's no commercials. I don't have to.
I like it. I
don't have to cut you off and say, "Hey, we got to go commercial break." We can just keep on going. But
I goes like,
yeah. So that is the good point. Good part about podcasting versus doing a radio show. But anything out there that I didn't ask you or you'd like to talk about, your program, the community, anything involving around the Brockton Gamecocks?
Yeah, I want to say how thankful I am for the community. From the moment I got there, and even before that, when I was still at Citronelle, but I had to come over, once a week or so. But the community has reached out and opened their arms to me and my family. And I am so thankful for that because, we picked up and we moved and that's a big ordeal, trying to find a house, trying to sell the house you were currently living in, meanwhile holding down a job with the kids and everything else that goes on. It's been such a blessing to us that the people of New Brockton have just opened their arms to us, and the administration and the faculty, everybody. The whole idea is just blown my mind that these people that don't know me from Adam's house cat can open themselves up to me and allow me to enter their world. And so, and my wife for that matter, my whole family, but it's just been an amazing thing. And I'm so proud of that fact. And they're hungry. The kids are hungry. The community is hungry. The school is hungry. Everybody is hungry for us to be successful, and we're trying our best to fulfill that for them, and hopefully that will come to fruition. And we're gonna go every Friday night. We're gonna go down swinging. We're not gonna look at any third strikes. We're gonna go down swinging, and and if that happens, it happens. If we make it, we connect. We connect. If we don't, we don't. We're going to line back up next Friday night. We're going to take our cuts again, to use that old baseball analogy. But that's just the way it is. And again, like I said, we've got a long way to go. Patience is the key at this point. And, Rome wasn't built in a day. That's the most overused statement in the history of mankind, I think. But it is true. Rome wasn't built in a day. The problem was it didn't take but a couple to tear it down, if that makes sense. So we've got to start rebuilding. And and what comes out of the ashes, we'll see. But I'm excited about where we're headed at this point. The kids, their participation, the participation numbers have been off the charts for that, and it's growing every day. I had a kid. We worked out last week was Thursday, and we give them Friday and we give them Monday off every week. But Thursday, I had a kid show up and wanted to play. And I said, where were you during the spring? Because he was on campus, And his response was, Coach, I just wasn't sure yet. And I get that. I completely get that. And I completely understand that these kids are still not sure about playing still. And so, but when they saw the kids coming through the hallways and their friends, and they came out and watched us play that night and things like that, we're going to do our dead level best to have fun while we're playing. It's bad enough from a day-to-day grind, to these kids that it's work. It's a hard game to play, but it's so rewarding at the same time. So we've got to do our best to let them have fun while they're working. And if you ever get to, which in your case, you enjoy doing your day-to-day job. If you're having fun at that job, you're going to be a lot more successful than you are if you're miserable. And if you're miserable, you're looking over your shoulder, or you're looking across the fence to that greener pasture over there and wanting to get over there instead of where your feet are. And so we're doing our best to try to get those kids to have a good time while they're playing, and and hopefully that will continue.
That sounds good. I mean, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking for seeing how you guys do, and with there at New Brockton. I'll be wishing you all the luck on the upcoming season, Coach. And I appreciate this. We've almost gone 40 minutes here on this conversation. I appreciate you taking the time out to come on, and I'm sure we'll chat some during the season. But I do appreciate it, and I hope we can do this again sometime down the road.
Phillip, thank you for having me on. And anytime you want to talk ball, just give me a holler. I'm more than willing to talk. So I look forward to it, and thank you for what you do for football coverage, or just coverage period, for our high schools in the Wiregrass. Thank you so much for that.
All right, and once again, thanks to Coach Barnett for coming on this edition, the first regular edition of the Wiregrass High School Football Report for the 2023 high school football season. Now, we'll let you guys know there will not be a show next week because I usually record these shows on Sundays. Next Sunday is Father's Day, so won't be doing a show next week, but the following week there will be another new edition of the Wiregrass High School Football Report. Remember, you can follow me on social media at PJordanSEC. Podcast available on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. If you're on Apple, please follow, rate, and review. Leave a review. I will read it on a future edition of the show. Also over on Podbean as well is another place where you can listen to the Wiregrass High School Football Report. You can watch it, check it out over on my YouTube channel, the Phillip Jordan Media YouTube channel. Hit the subscribe button, hit the bell for all notifications. Please leave a comment on the video and also read that on a future edition as well. And you can email me at sports.philipjordan@gmail.com. Everybody has a great rest of your day, rest of your week. I'll talk to you guys in 2 weeks for the next edition of the Wiregrass High School Football Report. Until next time, bye-bye.